I hosted my in-laws for a little casual lunch the other day, so here's everything I did to prep and ensure that everything went smoothly without me losing my mind. But first, let's go over our menu. For starters, we have chicken bread, and I'm just gonna do a store-bought salad. For the mains, I'm doing a kofta pulao, butter chicken, and some homemade naan. And for dessert, we have homemade apple pie with some store-bought ice cream. I've been married for 2 years now, and at some point I fell in love with hosting, but it does not come without challenges. And the most important thing I've learned is to do everything you can do ahead of time. For example, the chicken bread can be fully assembled and frozen. So 2 days before the dawat, I made the dough, the filling, assembled and froze the chicken bread, and that's one less thing I have to worry about. The day before the dawat, I started by making the apple pie. I had homemade pie dough in the freezer, so I let that thaw for about an hour while I made the filling. I fully assembled and baked my pie, and just let it cool completely before putting it in the fridge wrapped in foil. At this point, I chopped like 4 onions and some tomatoes ahead of time so I don't have to deal with it later. And then I fried some onions to top my pulao with for tomorrow. I also had some dough rising for the homemade naan, so I rolled it out, cooked the naans, let them cool, and then wrapped them in foil and put them in the fridge. And then I made the koftas for my kofta pulao. At this point, I was exhausted, so I took a little break for lunch, watched Pretty Little Liars on the couch with my cat. And I was taking it slow this day because I was waiting for my husband to bring home some groceries after work so that I could make the butter chicken, which I started on making at like 8 p.m. after my husband made me some tea, and I was done by like 10 p.m. Cleaned up and called that a day. A very, very stressful day. Before I went to bed, I just moved the chicken bread from the freezer to the fridge to thaw overnight, and then the next day, which was the morning of the dawat, I just made the pulao fresh, and it was not hard at all because the koftas were already made, the onions were chopped, everything was prepped. Once I was done, I also baked the chicken bread right before the guests got here, and once they were here, I started heating up all the food, which was always so hard in my opinion. In the chaos of it all, I didn't get a very good clip of this bread, so I asked my husband and he got me these very shaky videos. But that's okay because what's most important is that everyone had a great time and they really loved the pie the most. So maybe it's safe to say that I'm just better at making desserts, but I try. Hope you enjoyed watching me struggle but put together this dawat, and I'll see you in the next one.